Hey, hey, hey. Welcome back to Marriage Mayhem, the podcast where we take a hilarious, no-holds-barred look at one of the most complicated and occasionally ridiculous relationships we can have, marriage. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're diving into the funny side of marriage. You know, the stuff that doesn't make it into the romantic movies, but definitely makes it into our everyday lives. Now, I don't know about you, but marriage can be a roller coaster. One minute you're so in love, staring into each other's eyes like two hopeless romantics. And the next minute, you're arguing about whose turn it is to take out the trash. And let's not even get started on the compromises. You know, those magical moments where you sacrifice your personal desires just to avoid a heated discussion over whether the couch should face the TV or the window. But hey, we all love it, right? I mean, in the end, it's all worth it. Most of the time. And honestly, some of the funniest moments in life come from the everyday chaos of marriage. Let's start with the famous first year of marriage moments. The ones where you realize you're not just living with someone, you're living with a stranger in some ways. Like, why does my spouse eat their cereal so loudly? I didn't sign up for a full orchestra during breakfast. And the weirdest part is, it doesn't even bother them. You'd think they're auditioning for the lead role in the Crunching Olympics. And you, on the other hand, are sitting there thinking, am I in a cereal commercial or a horror movie? And of course, there's the classic, whose turn is it to do the dishes argument. You ever notice how in marriage, there's always a person who definitely didn't do the dishes last time? It's like you're both playing a game of chicken. You're standing there in the kitchen, looking at the sink, and silently daring each other to make a move. Maybe if I pretend I'm too tired, they'll do it. Wait a minute, I cooked last night, it's their turn. And then, just when you think you've won the battle, you hear it. Hey, you want to watch a movie? And suddenly, the dishes seem way less important than whatever's about to happen on Netflix. Speaking of Netflix, watching TV together is a whole other thing in marriage, isn't it? There's always that moment when you start a show together, and you're both so excited to start it, but then one person decides to skip ahead. And it's not even a subtle thing. They know you haven't seen the next episode. They know you're trying to avoid spoilers. And yet, in the middle of the night, they sneak in an episode you both agreed to watch together. And what do? Do you confront them? Or do you just pretend that you're too tired to care? Really? You watch the next episode without me? You know what? It's fine. I'm fine. I'll just sit here in complete silence, secretly plotting my revenge. And the best part? The next day they act like it's no big deal. Hey, want to watch the new episode? I think you'll really like it. You want to punch them in the arm, but instead you nod and smile, secretly planning your next move. Maybe you'll accidentally spoil the ending to their favorite movie. Now, let's talk about getting ready together in the morning. If you've ever tried to get ready for work at the same time as your spouse, you know it's like being in a competitive sport. You're both racing to the bathroom, trying to be the first one to the mirror, and suddenly, you both forget how to use the space. The bathroom sink has become a battleground. Toothpaste cap wars, towel thefts, the sudden inexplicable need to use the hairdryer at the same time. They should hand out medals for surviving this daily marathon. And God forbid you have a morning where you're in a rush, trying to get out the door, and they do that one thing that they know drives you crazy. Can you hand me the shampoo? It's right there. You can see it. You're standing right next to it. But apparently it's now your responsibility to hand it to them. I can't reach it. My arm's too short. I don't know about you, but I'm standing there thinking, are we about to have a 30-minute conversation about shampoo? Shampoo? Now, Let's talk about the fine, I'll just do it myself syndrome. You ever try to ask your spouse to do something and they give you that response, "Sure, I'll do it later," and you know deep down later means never, or when the next ice age arrives. So, you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and finally, in a moment of frustration, you do it yourself. And they're like, "Oh, I was gonna do that." Really? Were you? Were you actually going to do it? Because I didn't see any evidence of that in the last 72 hours. And the worst part? When you do it yourself, you immediately get criticized for doing it wrong. "Oh, I wouldn't have done it like that." Well, guess what? Maybe you should have done it yourself. Now we're both unhappy. Congratulations. Ah, yes, the who leaves the lights on. Battle. This is a classic. It's always them. It's always them. Who left the bathroom light on? They must have done it, your spouse says, pointing at the kids. But we all know the truth. It's you. You're both standing in the dark, thinking about how you're going to handle this. It's like a family mystery that never gets solved. And of course, the argument goes something like this. Seriously, can we just agree that someone has to turn off the lights when they leave a room? It's not that hard. But somehow we never actually solve the problem. We just keep on leaving lights on and silently blaming everyone else for it. And speaking of blaming, let's talk about blame shifting in marriage. That moment when something goes wrong, and both of you look at each other like, "Well, I wasn't the one who..." Like, there's always that one thing in the house that you definitely didn't break. But your spouse, in their infinite wisdom, is convinced it's all your fault. It's like you've been married long enough to play who's gonna take the blame, like a professional sport. "I didn't break the vase. You knocked it over with your elbow while you were doing that weird dance move in the kitchen." No, you bumped into it while you were, existing. And round we go. But in the end, who really cares? The vase is broken, and we're both still married. It's all part of the magic. But seriously, marriage is great. It's full of love, laughter, and occasional chaos. It's the roller coaster ride you never want to get off. Even when things get a little crazy, like when you realize your spouse ate the last of the ice cream without telling you, they're still the person you'd go through it all with. So, here's to the hilarious moments, the weird arguments, and everything in between. Thanks for tuning in to Marriage and Mayhem. Until next time, remember, communication is key. Unless you're hiding the TV remote. Then it's fair game.